This is Natalie. Just go ahead and introduce yourself, girl. We want to hear all about you, your business, momhood. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yep, so I'm Natalie. I'm a 25-year-old Connecticut native.
Mhm.
I'm the owner of Liveful Lifestyle Management. I started that in 2019. We offer a range of services from commercial and residential cleaning services to marketing and events coordination and a lot more. My goal is to create harmonized lifestyles for busy individuals.
Mhm.
Aside from that, I am a mom to a baby boy named Luca, and I'm also a dog mom to Benji. So I'm very
Mhm.
excited to be here.
Love that. Just a quick question. How did you get the name Luca? Because my son's friend right now is named Luca, and I think it's the cutest name.
So I was thinking I wanted like a short and sweet name,
Hmm.
but I'm also like big on meanings of names, and Luca means light, and I feel
Okay.
like he's just like the light of our life. Like he came in at the perfect time.
Hmm.
Um, like that really just resonated with, I guess, where we were.
Right. He's the light you needed, Luca. I love that. Okay, girl, so you have a cleaning business, right? But you do events, you work in businesses. How did you get into that?
So initially, I started my journey working as a nanny.
Hmm.
I worked for two executives. One was an entrepreneur, and the other one was in the corporate world. So from there, I kind of got an insight of both sides, the busy side of being an entrepreneur and all that goes into it, and then corporate. They had a lot of moving parts within their household at the time, whether that be within their work or dealing with cleaners or just a wide range of things that you deal with on a day-to-day basis within business. So
Hmm.
it kind of sparked an idea like, how can I noticed that they were getting like very like frustrated dealing with all of these people. So I'm like, how can I combine all of these things and offer a different range of services that I can target to entrepreneurs or those with a busy day-to-day life where they can just have one person that they can connect with and outsource everything from there. So that's how I got Liveful started. And we've been in business almost 6 years now. So just ranging and trying to grow to see how I can help other entrepreneurs or moms, or really just anyone who's trying to create more harmony within their life. I don't really like to say the word balance. I think it's really cliche.
Right.
There's never any like balance in like every day looks different. I learned that especially like being a mom. So really just helping people create harmony within their life based off their day to day and what works best for them.
But part of your idea with this business was having one source for everything. And I think that's really cool because it builds trust, with someone that you're hiring and with them being able to do so many tasks. That's pretty useful. Like that's something that we need just as moms, like, you know what I mean? So who's your base, like your clientele? Like what's your ideal client?
So I would say my ideal client would be anyone who's looking to gain more like structure and like I said, harmony within their life. A lot of my clients I do target towards entrepreneurs because I feel like a big thing for me that I've learned with business is just like a personable approach and feeling, clients feeling like they can relate to you in a sense. So I
Hmm.
feel like I can relate a lot from the business front and seeing, the many needs that they may have and things, unique situations that may go into that. Uh,
Hmm.
so I love working with entrepreneurs, but again, I'm open to working with someone who's in corporate or, someone again who's just looking for more structure within their life. Um, but I do feel like I target my audience to entrepreneurs,
Hmm.
and those in the corporate life because I do feel like I can relate to both sides, being an entrepreneur, working within Liveful. And then I also worked on the marketing and events coordination side with corporate. So I could see both sides. And I think that that's something that I can really relate on and understand, in order to best create services that, work for that person's day-to-day life.
Yeah, that's a super smart idea. I love that. And you've had your business now for 6 years, and your
Mhm.
son is going to be 2, so you've had your business before your son, right? How was bringing your baby into, your life, already having this business, and now you're trying to, figure out both? Like, how is that for you?
So I definitely think that it was an adjustment because my business was my first baby. I feel like I poured so much into just like trying to figure things out. I feel like there's so many ebbs and flows with businesses, especially when you're first getting started and you're
Hmm.
figuring things out. And it's like you're falling and you're getting back up again and you're trying and you're just doing all of the things. So I think the biggest thing for me within those first 4 years before I had my son was really creating that structure,
Hmm.
implementing boundaries and learning what works and what doesn't work, just like creating that discipline. So I do feel like it was a struggle in terms of like, I guess managing, right? Because I want to be present for my son, but I also don't want to feel like I'm letting and leaving my other baby behind in terms of business. So I was definitely like trying to balance showing up for both as best as I could. But the
Hmm.
biggest thing for me that I learned in that moment was to really just be present.
Right.
Luca is my first baby, so I really just wanted to take as much time to just enjoy,
Mhm.
um, and not get too like lost in business. And I feel like at the time, a big thing for me was like on social media, I felt like society was just saying like I had to choose one or the other. I had to choose whether I was going to show up and be more of like a stay-at-home mom
Right.
or I'm going to be a business owner and run my business. I felt like I could only choose one. And it came to the point where I learned like I can do both. I
Right.
just to pivot and learn what's the best way for the season of life that I'm in now to
Hmm.
make things work, and show up for myself as best as I can without pouring from an empty cup.
Right. Um, and I that was one of my questions that I wanted to ask you too is you mentioned boundaries. How did you figure out what type of batteries, boundaries were necessary for you to navigate through, being a mom, first time mom, having your business. Luckily, you did have that foundation like you were saying, but what boundaries did you set?
I think the biggest thing before is like I was like a yes woman. Like I always wanted to say yes to everything because I'm like, okay, I have to say yes to this job. I have to say yes to doing this event, or I have to say yes to doing, this contract and this cleaning. And I felt like I had to like show up, but it came to the point where I was just like showing up, but I wasn't like really present, or like my personal life like wasn't there. So
Hmm.
I felt like I had to create that boundary once I had my son. Like I do realize that that is such a blessing that I could take that step back and realize like I don't have to say yes to everything. But definitely just not feeling like I have to like do all of the things.
Right.
I really just wanted to be as present as possible and also just give myself grace in that postpartum period
Hmm.
because that was already like me going through the trenches with just everything that, just learning all of like the ebbs and flows and getting into motherhood. So
Hmm.
really just not feeling like I have to say yes to everything, giving myself grace to know that it's okay to step back and say no. I don't have to say yes to everything. I'm not letting my clients down.
Hmm.
I don't have to respond at every time of the day. When 5 o'clock comes, that's it.
Right.
I, turn my phone on do not disturb, and that's it. I want
And
to
it's
be.
so hard to do that, but
It's so hard.
yeah.
Even I won't lie, like I'll catch myself like still responding to messages, or before I go to bed, I'm like, oh my God, let me check my email, or
Right. Yeah.
look online. And it's like just learning, like, okay, I don't have to do that. I really just have been focusing more on being present and showing up for myself and pouring into myself. So that way I can show up for my business and I can show up for my baby equally.
I love that. Yes, it's just the strong foundation of having yourself being able to say no is like really hard to learn. Um, but the fact that you were able to do that, I mean, early on too, because your baby's only two, girl, like I feel like I'm always like, yes, I have to do that. I have to, like, you know what I mean? It's like you have to, but it's like you really don't though sometimes. And it's like to be able to tell yourself, like, no, let me step back, let me chill, let me pour into myself right now too. And, we can do it tomorrow. So yeah, I love that. Because that's super hard. What is one way you pour into yourself? Because everyone has their own thing, but what's your thing? Like what does Natalie love?
I would say the best way and my favorite way to pour into myself is I definitely love when I can, because it's not every day, but if I can have more of like a slower morning where I can just take a few minutes, where I can pray, give gratitude for, waking up to another day and all of my blessings and everything that I have, maybe taking a few minutes to read and journal, just sitting and like being present, because I feel like as a mom and as an entrepreneur, you're constantly on go or your brain is constantly on go. So
Yeah.
just give myself at least 5 to 10 minutes to just enjoy a hot cup of coffee because I feel like all my moms can relate to that. It's never
It's
hot
cold.
sometimes. So you're doing all of the things.
Yeah,
Enjoying my coffee while it's hot, journaling, reading. As of lately, with the nicer weather here on the East Coast, just getting outside, getting my vitamin D, moving my body in some kind of way.
right.
Um, Really just making sure that I'm taking care of myself and walking into the new day with a clear mind and good, attitude and mindset for the day.
And what do you like? How do you guys deal? I know that you guys get 4 seasons and stuff like that, but does your business like get affected at all, like during seasons and stuff like that? Like, or just because you've been established for 6 months, like, what are you seeing like right now going into summer, right? We're well, I guess spring cleaning, like
It's like a
that,
super
is that a
busy,
thing?
whether that be on an events front with like baby showers or corporate events,
Hmm.
like corporate outings, or whether that be with cleanings, spring cleanings. People want to get like a deep cleaning for their business.
Hmm.
So I find spring to be a very busy time.
Right.
Usually with the winters here and like all of the snow and crappy weather, usually I deal with like some delays or snow days.
Hmm.
But for the most part, I am very thankful that I'm established to have a consistent schedule and a good flow of things. I just see more busier seasons and slower seasons, which is pretty normal.
Which is normal. Okay. Do you run like any type of thing for spring? Like, is that a thing at all or?
I'll advertise more and I'll market more for like spring cleanings.
Mm-hmm.
I try to any season really. I think a big thing that I learned with marketing is just like wording. So
Right.
even if it's not spring, I'm like, well, fall is here and the holidays are here. Get your house ready for your
Whatever
family.
needs to happen, right? I mean, your house should be clean, year round. So,
Right. I
yeah.
think I'm big on like a clear space, clear mind. So that's my
Okay.
way to
That's like a
target.
little slogan. I like that. Okay, that's cute. So I kind of wanted to ask you. I mean, your business is doing really well. You're enjoying motherhood, but is there a time where you felt like, oh my gosh, like, can I do this? Like, almost,
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. So when I first had my son, I dealt with a loss in my family. So while I was giving birth to Luca, I actually lost my grandfather, and he was fighting a battle with mental health. So he did pass away literally as I was bringing Luca into this earth.
Oh
He,
my gosh. He's gonna be just like your grandfather. Watch. I
I
promise
find like
you.
so many signs, and like he's just like him. It's
I
like
promise you, girl. That's gonna
crazy.
be little junior right there. Oh, I love that though. Did you have a close relationship with your grandfather?
He was like my dad. So
Oh,
I think that that was like the biggest loss that I've also had to deal with, but also like the biggest blessing at the same time.
girl.
I think that that gave me like an immense amount of strength, and I did feel like, oh my gosh, am I going to even be able to do this? Like, why is this happening? I question all the time. Like, why? Why is this happening? I'm supposed to be enjoying like such a precious time of my life. And my grandpa was so excited for me to be a mom. And
Mm-hmm.
then I just felt like it was all taken away. So I'm like, is this
Yeah.
worth it? Like, am I just gonna give up? But then I also remembered like my grandfather was also my biggest motivator. And he was also always, always cheering me on in everything that I did, whether that be like when I was 16 and I started working at Dunkin' Donuts, he was cheering me on to,
Mm-hmm.
do my best. And he always told me if someone doesn't go with you or pick you with your business or a job, they're like losing out. Like that's their biggest.
Oh, love that.
So I would always keep that in mind for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I can't give up. Like, I want to give up, but I can't because I have someone who is now looking up to me, and I want Luca to just admire my strength, and I want this to be a part of like my testimony one day. And I can share with others who are maybe going through something similar where it's hard because you're going through postpartum, you're going through so many emotions, and especially dealing with business, it's like that's already another whirlwind of emotions. But I definitely feel like it brought me closer in my faith, and
Mhm.
just knowing that everything does happen for a reason. And I know that it's a hard way to like look at it when it comes to like loss and grief. But I
Mhm.
also am a firm believer that God would never give me anything that I can't handle.
Right.
So with that, I think that that just really gave me the strength that I needed to push through and remind myself that I really can do anything. And I think if I went through that, I think I can deal with anything with grace. So that was a big push for me to keep going and
I
just keep
love
my
that. I myself also lost my grandfather from mental illness. I mean, he was going through dementia, Alzheimer's, and we lived with him, so we saw everything, and it was tough, especially on my mom. So I get it, I mean, I was close with my grandfather, but it's hard. And there's not enough awareness on that also, just all these, illnesses and stuff. So I get it, girl. It's tough, but I'm so happy that you were able to find a positive side out of your grandfather being your biggest cheerleader, because that's beautiful. I love that. And you mentioned like your grandfather almost made you feel like you had like an internal power, like to just do whatever you wanted to do, right? I really want to ask you, what is your super mama superhero, like any superpower that you can have, what would it be?
mostly being at all of the places at once because I want
Yes.
to be
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be at all of the places at once. I want like an AI or robot me to like be and do all of the work and like make all of the money while I can just be here and
Right.
be with my son, and I can be doing all of the other things that just
Mm-hmm.
make me happy and pour into my cup.
Mm-hmm.
But
The
then there's something
priceless moments.
yeah, exactly. Because especially I think with being a mompreneur, sometimes that mom guilt because it's like you have to work, you have to provide. So sometimes feeling that mom guilt, like, am I missing out on, those special moments or the first or things like that? So I definitely would love for someone else to do the work. Me, but not me.
Right, 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 right. It just you build a you and then just go out to the field. Okay, come back and recharge. Like tell me what happened, because this is your baby, like you said. I want to know what's going on, but my priceless moments are just something that you cherish so much and you don't want to miss out on. So I get it. Especially like were you able to be there when Luca was walking and stuff?
Yes. So
Yes.
thankfully, I was able to take almost like a full 8 months to where I could like really be
Wow. Mm-hmm.
present. And, I would like work remotely or go out from time to time, but I was really there for like the bulk of his first moments. And
Mm-hmm.
thankfully, even when he first started walking and things like
Right.
that, I was really,
Mm-hmm.
really fortunate to be here. So
Yes.
I'm super thankful that I was able to be here for the first, but now it's like he's starting to talk and say new words, and
Mm-hmm.
he's just embracing like his wild boy side now.
Oh
So
yeah, it's just gonna be a fun roller coaster, saying lots of no's and everything. And then, does he ever look at you like, "What do you mean?" Like, "No, I can't do that," or like,
his
"What?"
favorite thing is just no. No right now. Like, or he'll just look at me like, Mom, who's the boss here? I'm
Right.
the
Oh,
boss.
boss
Yeah.
baby for sure. They run us. Like, unfortunately, that's just what it is, and they know it. They use it to their advantage to the fullest, honestly. I love that. So who did he say? Did he say mama first?
Let's see. Everything was Dada, I'm pretty sure.
Really? Isn't that crazy? Like you just
Like, I carried you for 9 months.
right for nine
I
months.
did all the hard work.
Right for 9 months. It's crazy. One thing I did want to touch up with 9 months and then you're having your son. Um, And I heard you say postpartum a lot, and that's something that women deal with. How did you cope with postpartum depression and just postpartum, but having your business too? I know you took some time off, but did mom guilt play in that? Like how did you deal with that?
So, thankfully, I am very blessed with just a really amazing support system. My mom,
Mm,
my spouse, my
love
in-law.
that.
So, I think that was the biggest thing was just like my village, really carrying me through, allowing me to take time away without feeling guilty. Maybe if that was just me going into the Starbucks parking lot and sitting there for a half hour and drinking my coffee and coming
Yeah.
back home or
Mm-hmm.
scrolling through Marshalls and just taking time and not feeling guilty about it. And they reminded me that, before I was a mom, I was Natalie, and I still am Natalie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm mom now,
Right.
and I'm, wearing different hats. But just giving myself that grace in that transitional period because postpartum is a lot, and
Mhm.
becoming a mom is a lot, and
Right.
running a business is a lot. But the biggest thing that I learned is just giving myself grace. I also think the importance of speaking to someone, so finding a therapist or a friend or someone that you can confide in and just talk. Sometimes we just need someone to talk to. And I know that not everyone is fortunate to have a support system or have someone that they feel like they can lean on. But a big thing for me that I want to emphasize and really pour into this year is building more of a community.
Mm.
So, even if there is someone who feels like they're going through a lot and they need someone to talk to, like I would be more than happy for someone to just slide into my DMs just so they feel like they have someone to connect with. Because a lot of times you really just need to hear, like, I know how you feel. You're
Right.
not alone. So
Mm-hmm.
just having that reassurance, I think really goes a long way and can really help someone who's going through postpartum. But
Mm-hmm.
just remembering to pour into yourself and to release those feelings and talk about those feelings, is really important throughout postpartum and just making sure that you're pouring into you because you can't pour into your little one if you are pouring from an empty cup. And I think that your little one seeing the best and happiest version of you is so important. And
Mm-hmm.
you deserve that. And most importantly, you deserve that because you deserve to be happy,
Yeah.
good headspace.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard, you know, dealing with all of that. Um, Postpartum it's a touchy subject. I personally went through a lot during postpartum for me. And I throw depression a lot because around there a lot because I was definitely going through a lot. You know, I felt like I was a cow because I was just, nursing. And it's funny because my girlfriend, she had her son literally a week after mine. And she was just, going, just doing her thing. Like, and I was just like, how are you just so happy to be a mom and this and that? I mean, it was, different circumstances, but I felt like she was just so happy. So I was like, girl, what are you doing? Like, we finally were able to meet with each other and talk it out because we, are being moms, first time moms. I haven't seen her in so long. You just don't answer it's just not like that. You're just so busy. And she's like, girl, honestly, I thought you were, perfect and being the best mom and this and that. I'm like, girl, what? I'm over here like freaking out. Like, what are you talking about? So you think that someone has it together, but it's just they don't sometimes, and that's okay. It's okay to not have it together, especially just being a first-time mom and kids after, because there's so many things that you have to go through being a mom. So, yes, postpartum is so hard to just deal with. Um, so I feel you, girl.
I
But
think
having a support system is very, very important, and I'm so happy that you have one. Because that's a blessing just to have that support.
I feel really blessed. And I also feel like this should be a lesson to other moms or other new moms to not compare because comparison really is a thief of joy. And a lot of times we're looking from like an outside perspective on social media, or we see TikToks or reels that are showing like these moms who seem like they have it all together. And I promise you, they don't. Everyone is dealing with something in some capacity. So just remembering to like give yourself grace and just being easy with yourself because not everyone has it all together. No one has it together. We're just figuring it out, especially as moms, day
Right.
by.
Yes, I agree completely. So this is my last question. I really wanted to know, just because your business is was established before your son, are there any ways that you incorporate your son in with your business yet? Just because he is a little one, but what kind of future generational wealth do you envision for him?
So I love to allow him to like see me in action. So, for example, in the mornings, I'll go through my emails or I'll respond to things. Sometimes I'll take calls in front of him with, clients who are inquiring. I guess I just want to like lead by that example and show him, that mommy is hard at work and the things
Mhm.
that also go into business. I'm probably running around like crazy and he's like, Mom, what's going on? But I definitely just want to show him like the work that goes into it. And in terms of building wealth for him, I think that I'm really learning as of now, just like the power of investing and building assets for him, outside of business, whether that be investing or, I would love to get into like real estate and things like that.
Mhm.
But just finding other ways to put your money to, essentially work for you. That's the goal.
Right.
It's really streamlining things with business, with your financials, really just having that dual income and making sure that you're making your money work for you.
Right.
um, Biggest thing that I want to teach him because I came from, growing up with a young mom who had me at 15. So I don't really think that I learned a lot about financials or credit or just all of those things in terms of financial literacy. So
Mhm.
now that I have been fortunate to be around others who are willing to mentor me or give me some insight, or even just researching myself and learning how I can build generational wealth for him is a really big thing for me right now in this season.
Yes. Oh, and how did you learn about generational wealth? I said that was my last question, but this is really important. I feel like not everyone grasps generational wealth. So I want to know, how did you learn, your point of view on generational wealth?
It's crazy. I actually met a woman at Starbucks one day, uh,
Mm-hmm.
who was going through a real estate transaction, and I was actually studying for my real estate license at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's a process I'm going through now. So
Okay.
asked me to be a witness for her closing. And long story short, we ended up having like an hour-long conversation, and I learned all about her and her family's background and how she's really created and come from generational wealth within her family. And that really just sparked something in me. I'm like, wow, it's crazy. I was praying that day and I just asked for like signs from God to for him to show me that I'm going in the right direction. And I had that conversation with that woman. And it was everything that I was asking for. So she really gave me so much insight in terms of like building generational wealth, where to start. For her instance was with real estate, but I know that that looks different. It doesn't always have to be real estate. There are many ways that you can invest and allow
Right.
your for you. So that sparked something inside me, and I'm like, I really want to learn more about this. So I just asked to stay in
Yes.
touch with her. And a big thing for me, coming from a family that wasn't as financially literate, and I didn't see the best examples of how to build generational wealth or just financial stability in general, was really just educating myself. So whether that be self-educating and reading up on it, or just not being afraid to ask questions. I've been fortunate to work with a lot of successful individuals. So just kind of taking that leap and, being comfortable to speak up and ask a question. Sometimes you may have all the answers that you need within that one question. So really just going for things, and educating yourself as best as you can because it's possible for anyone.
And I really want to I hope it's okay. I know that you said earlier, I want to open your DM to the public because I know that you are, so you're just such a kind human. And you said that you're willing to help as far as, just you say you're okay, to boost the other woman up, empower her, lift up your neighbor. And I just made a video about this the other day. Lift up your neighbor, lift up the girlfriend next to you. Just lift them up because you never know. Like just a simple, are you okay? Or girl, you got this goes such a long way. So, I'm gonna open up your DM because girl, I know you got it. And then also real estate, you're gonna take your test. Have you taken it? Is that something that you're gonna, really get into? Because the real estate is bomb if you can.
And I'm in the last steps, so I
Mhm.
just have to take my state licensing and then I'll be out there. So I'm really
Okay.
excited
Are
to
you gonna
take
sell houses?
in my head, like, have you ever watched like Selling Sunset and like
Yes.
all those?
Mm-hmm.
They're not really selling on there, in my opinion, but I mean, that's what I envision for myself.
Okay.
Like,
So,
I really
and
want to get into,
girl, your business goes hand in hand too. Like you can,
yes,
yes, girl, go and
it's
hit
up
her
there.
up if you need a house in the Connecticut area. Okay.
I'm ready to take over. I'm so
I
excited.
love that. I actually have my real estate license too. Yes, but I didn't really do much with it, honestly. I just had it kind of in my back pocket. I did do a little bit of real estate, but where I was at, didn't work out for me, honestly. That's just what it is. Like just plain black and white. It was just like I wanted to do it, and it's always something that I saw myself doing, but I was like, this is just not for me. But I have it in my back pocket, and I think everyone should have it just because you never know. Like, actually, my aunt's best friend called me and she's like, "Hey, Taylor, like, I have a real estate question. I have my license. I can answer anything for you. And if I want to buy a house or land, I have it, so I could, you know what I mean? It's nice to have in your back pocket."
Absolutely. The knowledge, and I'm the kind of person where I rather try and fail than like not try at all. So
Yeah,
if it doesn't work out, that's okay. At least I tried. I'd rather know that it
right.
can work out than like question, should I have done this? So
Mm-hmm.
I love that you went for it. And even if it didn't work for you, you have the knowledge that knowledge
Yes.
forever. So
Yes.
for you.
And you learn so much too, like not even just, selling. It's like loans and, how money works and how investing works. So yeah, it's definitely good to have in your back pocket. Okay, girl, well, I think we're out of time. But thank you so much for coming on again.
Having
It's just so sweet to have you. You're full of grace, and that's something that we talked about our first episode is just like you have so much grace and you're such a beautiful aura. I mean, you're beautiful, like just looking at you. And we love your baby. Your baby boy is so cute. So thank you so much for coming on. And also, I have your application for the ambassador program. I have my assistant working on just everything, welcoming package. So we're gonna get you on there. So stay tuned.
super excited. Thank you so much for having me. It was so nice
Bye,
connecting.
girl.
All right. Bye.